Loading the move was taken in view of the unprecedented hostile action by the British government, in particular the imposition of sanctions against senior Russian officials, the ministry said in a statement, adding that it would expand the list soon. Explosions were heard in the early hours of Saturday in Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, and the western city of Lviv. Air raid sirens were going off over most of Ukraine early on Saturday. Kyiv was rocked by some of the most powerful explosions in 2 weeks on Friday. Ukraine has claimed responsibility for striking the ship, and a senior U.S. defense official said on Saturday it was indeed hit by at least one Ukrainian missile. Earlier, more than 900 civilian bodies were discovered in the region surrounding Kyiv, most of them fatally shot, police said, in an indication that many people were simply executed. The jarring numbers emerged shortly after Russia's defense ministry promised to step up missile attacks on Kyiv in response to what it called Ukraine's aggression on Russian territory. Russian authorities accused Ukraine of wounding 7 people and damaging about 100 residential buildings with airstrikes in Bryansk, a region bordering Ukraine. Authorities in another border region of Russia also reported Ukrainian shelling on Thursday. The number and the scale of missile attacks on objects in Kyiv will be ramped up in response to the Kyiv nationalist regime committing any terrorist attacks or diversions on the Russian territory, Russian Defense Ministry spokesman Igor Konashenkov said. Andriy Nebatov, the head of Kyiv's regional police force, said bodies were abandoned in the streets or given temporary burials. He cited police data indicating that 95% from gunshot wounds. Consequently, we understand that under the Russian occupation, people were simply executed in the streets, Nebatov said. More bodies were being found every day, under rubble and in mass graves, he added. The largest number of victims were found in Bucha, where there were more than 350, he said. Olga Kosyanchuk, 63, left, stands next to the coffin of her husband Anatoly Kosyanchuk, 56, who was captured by Russian soldiers on March 29 and found with heavy head injuries in Bucha. AP photo Rodrigo Abd. According to Nebatov, utilities workers in Bucha gathered and buried bodies while it remained under Russian control. Russian troops, he added, were tracking down people who expressed strong pro-Ukrainian views. In Kyiv, a renewed armament could mean a return to the steady wail of air raid sirens heard during the early days of the invasion and to fearful nights sheltering in subway stations. Tentative signs of pre-war life have resurfaced in the capital after Russian troops failed to capture the city and retreated to concentrate on eastern Ukraine, leaving behind evidence of possible war crimes. Ukrainian officials have not confirmed striking targets in Russia, and the reports could not be independently verified. The cruiser Moskva in Port Sevastopol in Crimea on April 7, 2022. Via AP. However, Ukrainian officials said their forces did strike a key Russian warship with missiles. And after more than a day of the Pentagon saying it could not confirm the claim, a senior U.S. defense official said it now believes the Moskva was hit on Wednesday by at least 1, and probably 2, missiles, creating the large fire aboard. The official spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss an intelligence assessment. The guided missile cruiser Moskva, named for the Russian capital, then sank while being towed to port on Thursday after suffering heavy damage. Though Moscow did not acknowledge any attack, the loss of the ship represents an important victory for Ukraine and a symbolic defeat for Russia. The Moskva had the capacity to carry 16 long-range cruise missiles. The last time a warship as large as the Moskva sank in combat was 1982. A British submarine torpedoed an Argentinian Navy cruiser called the ARA General Belgrano during the Falklands War, killing over 300 sailors. The sinking of the Russian warship reduces Russia's firepower in the Black Sea, although military analysts disagreed on the event's significance to the course of the war. Either way, the loss was viewed as emblematic of Moscow's fortunes in a 7-week invasion widely seen as a historic blunder following the retreat from the Kyiv region and much of northern Ukraine. Loading a flagship Russian warship is a worthy diving site. We have one more diving spot in the Black Sea now. We'll definitely visit the wreck after our victory in the war, Ukrainian Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov boasted on Twitter. Zelensky has made a direct appeal to President Joe Biden for the US to designate Russia a state sponsor of terrorism, one of the most powerful and far-reaching sanctions in the US arsenal. Russia has sent a series of warnings to the Biden administration, including a formal diplomatic protest this week, demanding that it halt shipment of advanced weapons to Ukraine that could strike into Russian territory or risk unspecified, unpredictable consequences, the New York Times reported. The final hours before Passover found the chief rabbi for Kyiv and Ukraine, Moshe Reuven Azman, in a cemetery. Before he could mark the Jewish people's escape from slavery in Egypt thousands of years ago, he was burying a man who didn't escape a Russian bullet. AP Russia's warning of renewed airstrikes did not stop Kyiv residents from taking advantage of a sunny and slightly warmer spring day as the weekend approached. More people than usual were out on the streets on Friday, walking dogs, riding electric scooters, and strolling hand in hand. In one central park, a small group of people, including a woman draped in a Ukrainian flag, danced to the music of a portable speaker. News about the Moskva overshadowed Russian claims of advances in Mariupol, which has been blockaded by Moscow's forces since the early days of the invasion. Dwindling numbers of Ukrainian defenders have held out against a siege that has come at a horrific cost to trapped and starving civilians. A building damaged during fighting in Mariupol. AP photo, Alexei Alexandrov. Mariupol's mayor said this week that more than 10,000 civilians had, and the toll could surpass 20,000. Other Ukrainian officials have said they expect to find evidence in Mariupol of atrocities against civilians like the ones discovered in Bucha and other towns outside Kyiv. The Mariupol City Council said locals reported seeing Russian troops digging up bodies that were buried in residential courtyards and not allowing new burials of people by them. Why the exhumation is being carried out and where the bodies will be taken is unknown, the council said on the Telegram messaging app. Zelensky said he discussed the fate of the besieged port city of Mariupol in a meeting with the country's military leaders and the heads of its intelligence agencies. The details cannot be made public now, but we are doing everything we can to save our people, Zelensky said.